welcome to the show. I'm Sulaiman Aledeh. And of course, we've been having conversations with a lot of people, especially presidential candidates, and of course, concerned Nigerians as we move into the elections for 2023. And again, quite frankly, the talking points are out there. Nigerians already know what they want. And the thing is it going to be the same of the same in terms of security, in terms of the economy, and of course, in terms of the unprecedented drain we are witnessing at the moment? It's all there. How you would want to be addressed and how you would want these to be handled is another thing. So today, a political party we're yet to speak with is here with us and talking about the candidate. Initially, we thought we were going to have this over the phone, over Zoom, but he's chosen to be here live. And would like to welcome the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, the AAC, Omoyele Sowore. Good to see you, and thanks for your time.
Thank you for bringing me.
I'm happy you're here. I'll start with my very first. There seemed to be a lull, until this moment. I was asking myself personally, is it that Sowore has, stepped down? Has Sowore backed down? Is Sowore no longer interested in politics?
No. There were a number of factors in my own case. Since 2019, I've been embroiled in legal disputes with the Nigerian government. I was arrested and detained for 4.5 months and taken to court, charged with treason, and the judge, in her own wisdom, decided to restrict me to Abuja since then. So for 3 years, I couldn't travel out of the Federal Capital Territory. And the political party that we formed in 2018 was essentially hijacked. So we had to go to court, and we didn't get a favorable judgment until June the 2nd, 2022. So we had to go into primaries, vet a lot of the candidates who wanted to contest on our platform, and submit their names to INEC. And you also know that officially campaigns have not commenced. It won't be until the end of September. So up until I think a month ago, I was rearrested again and taken to court, charged for cyber stalking one billionaire. So they keep taking me into court. So I'm in and out of courts a lot, police stations. So I decided that I'll take my time and start when it would mean most to both the party and the Nigerian people to hear directly from me and us regarding the future of the country. So that's been my particular circumstance.
Well, quite a long one and torturous, if you ask me, a journey. And good thing, many Nigerians were excited to see you in Lagos in honor of a man. I wanted to start with that, but yeah. I said no. Sowore is still interested, so I think I'm on point. But let's talk about the man in whose honor we saw you here in Lagos. In whose honor some Nigerians are excited to note that there are people who will never forget the great man who's still there. If someone said if Ghani were to be a Roman or a Greek, by now he would have been a god.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that someday he would still become, to so many of us, he's the god of justice. So
that's a good one.
Yes,
the god of justice.
Yes, and the reason I chose his memorial to come to Lagos was because he also represented some of the paths that we took in life. If the Ghanaian Fahimins of this world, the Femi Falanas of this world were not there when we were in the university, first, we would not have graduated. I was expelled twice, and they were the ones who stood up, went to court on our behalf, spoke on behalf of many of us, and suffered on our behalf. They were in and out of prison because of us. That's the reason we decide a lot of times not to genuflect on the authors of the corrupt gods in Nigeria. We choose them. We choose the Ghanaians of this world And he also was a political mentor. Gani was the first Nigerian to set up a political party in defiance of the Nigerian government made it in 1994 under the Abacha regime. That's the National Conscience Party. He ran for presidency too when he discovered that every other thing he was doing was becoming very difficult to implement. But I think by the time he ran, it had become too late, to be honest. If probably he ran in 1999, I don't see how Obasanjo would have defeated Ghani. But by the time he ran, the thieves had, and there's just no way he could have made it. So, and the most painful thing was that he died when he died. And this is what makes me worried sometimes. Like, the bad guys in Nigeria, they live so long, but the good guys, no longevity. So I don't know what's wrong because some of the guys are in their 90s now. They stole money, they kill people, and they're still around. With the likes of Fela Kuti, Gani Faweme, Beko Ransom Kuti, all these guys that did great things, they die in their 60s, 50s. Uh, I guess it comes with the territory. So
Well, when you talk about territory, some would say perhaps maybe because of the in and out of prison life,
absolutely,
in the course of the struggle.
yeah.
But again, now we're talking about Ghani. It's tilting towards some of the opening comments from you. You said your party was hijacked, and I said, wait a minute. Yes, Ghani for me had NCP, but for some people, I had conversation with some on the show, and they also felt some ideas and ideologies have been hijacked. One would have thought that you would have resurrected or taken the NCP, knowing full well what you chuckle on that, knowing full well what Ghani meant to you and many of us.
Oh, absolutely. It was the natural place I tilted when I started contesting. But Ghani's party had been completely bastardized by the time I started my political journey, partisan political journey in 2018. It was not there. In fact, uh, before Ghani died, he had practically left the NCP because he was virtually hijacked. You remember his tiff with Kanyamo, the blackmail Ghani, said all kinds of things. He's a Puritan. He just couldn't deal with that. So by the time after he died, I knew something was wrong with the NCP because Ghani was meticulous in allocating his wealth. If he had the dog, he would have sent some of his wealth to the dog. The fact that Ghani did not make any allocation for a political party he started to make me think that something was wrong about the NCP before he died. No single naira was assigned to his most important political project, which was the NCP. So I think he knew by the time he was dying that the NCP was lost. And the last chairman of the NCP endorsed Ghani's real enemies in the last election. And now the NCP has been deregistered, which is sad. If Ghani was the reason why we have multiple political parties. He went to court and won against the government at that time to allow as many political parties to be registered.
The two parties.
Two parties. So, but by the time he died, his party was one of the victims of the reversal of that particular progressive legal move that he won. So that was the reason we went ahead and registered the AAC in 2018. And part of the reason we were prepared for what happened to the AAC was because of Ghani's experience. We knew that they would come after the party because we had very strong ideological messages and we were not people that were easy to deal with, so to speak. So by the time I got arrested, they made it clear that part of the reason why they don't want me out there was because I was using the party to promote the idea of a revolution. Because it was the AAC that declared revolution now first.
And I know we're not talking about your matters in court, but again, is that what the AAC is about? Revolution?
No, it's a revolutionary party, and there's nothing wrong with revolution. I know that a lot of people misunderstood the meaning of revolution when revolution now came, to the point that there were over 5 million inquiries on Google on the day I was arrested. What's the meaning of it? What does this guy really want? But now you discover that Nigerians have become more comfortable with the idea of a revolution. Even people who are of, the conservative type, they are talking about the revolution in 2023. That was an idea we started in 2018 because we've always known, and I've always believed, that ultimately what we solved the Nigerian conundrum is a total overhaul of the system, and the system is not going to overhaul itself. It has to be overhauled, and that's why a revolution will happen.
What kind are you looking at? Mental? Is it some kind of conversation as we're having, talking to the people so that they can have a firm understanding of what they're going through?
Yeah, there's only one revolution. It is the parts that lead to it that you are trying to say maybe it's mental. Of course, for you to get to that final destination, you have to have a mental change of your outlook to life. You have to have an ideological change to your outlook. It involves a lot of changes, but ultimately, it would mean that everybody will drop everything they have been doing and do one thing that would change the course of their history. And that is what happened in a lot of countries around the world that are supposedly very prosperous and progressive today.
And political parties can actually actualize that.
Absolutely.
So yes,
if you go out there and that's what you want, of course they will gag you. There's no question about that, because political parties that are designed by administrative frameworks will not always have that latitude and the bandwidth to do what is necessary. But the moment you create a political party, domesticate it in the hearts of the people.
The heart of the people.
Yes, that is why the ANC, which is one of the oldest political parties in the world, did not come to power until 1994.
And I was going to come there, honestly, because every time I look at Sowore and I look at the AAC, I don't look at the ANC. Guess what? I look at the EFF.
Yeah.
And I say, Julius Malema, Omoyele Sowore. Time was when it was just the ANC, and now in the last municipal election in South Africa, the ANC lost quite a number of seats. I'm talking about grassroots governance in South Africa, and some other opposition won. The EFF also is coming up. Have you thought of taking AAC to the grassroots? Because people always talk about this talk. Now you're a politician. I actually started by telling people first he started as an activist, a journalist, and today he's a politician, whether you like it or not. Have you started talking about having the AAC ideologies in schools where you started from, campuses, localities, so that people can understand that, look, this is our party. Truly, that's what it represents.
Yes. The AAC was formed by another political movement, and that's the Take It Back movement, which we started around 2017, 2018. And those organizations, the organization has a lot of campus wings to today. The best way to bring this home to a lot of people was that the structures that you saw that carried out revolutionary protests on August 5, 2019, were all our structures that had been planted across the country. That protest took place in about 26 states of the Federation. The federal government, the day it happened, brought me out of detention. I was arrested on the 3rd, so they brought me out of detention to say, this is what you've caused, so that I know the gravity of my offense. They said 26 states are boiling as we speak.
They actually said that.
Yes, we're flying helicopters. You have made us lose 10 billion naira in one day. Money is invested in mobilizing troops, economic losses. So just prepare yourself. You're going to be here for a while. And I said to them, thank you. I will see you on the other side of the fence too. They pulled me back. What's the other side of the fence? It's after the revolution. That was how our conversation, my detention started. 2 weeks after, they came to me and said, if you can apologize to the federal government, particularly the president, we'll release you. And I said, no, I cannot. The man needs to resign so that Nigeria can have a fresh lease of life. Put me back in detention. That's how I spent 4 months and a few days in solitary confinement. But I only came out 1 hour every day to pick food because I didn't eat their food.
Yeah. You were on hunger strike?
Well, I was on hunger strike for a while. Then at the end of it, we agreed that I won't take their food. So they let me bring in food. That was how I ended my hunger strike.
We'll dig into politics. And for some reason, I decided not to leave the phone lines now for questions, but I'm amazed. I'm looking at questions just dropping, and I'll come back to your questions to all our listeners because for those who are also listening across, outside the country, we see your messages on Twitter. We get back to you. Now, off the top of my head, I'm thinking and I'm saying, um, when we talk about the AAC, and you said it was hijacked, you had to fight to get it back. I know some of the concerns of Nigerians listening will be, who were these people who hijacked your party?
They were,
or
yeah.
should I say your party or the People's Party?
No, it's how it typically takes place. When we started the party, we had a lot of members. We couldn't, even if we vetted everybody, we couldn't have told who was Judas in 12 people. So every 12 persons you have, there's that possibility. So it was what happened exactly, just to break it down, was that the APC went and connived with a candidate in Rivers State against Wike. When we denied the candidate, the APC wasn't happy. But Wike wanted us to be with him. And we said, no, we don't want to have anything to do with any of the existing political parties. So Wike also wanted us to go to court because he almost lost that. He lost the election as the APC planned it. So he had to go to court. And when we said we're not going to cooperate with him, he gave money to one person who was the secretary of the party. And they got a judge.
Who gave money?
Wike, as the governor of Rivers.
You're a journalist, an established fact.
I've covered so many of these guys. I was the one who brought Wike's audio where he was bribing INEC officials. I was the one who obtained that audio. And the INEC officials in that audio, some of them are in jail. So I know these people very well. I have evidence. I'm an evidence-based reporter. So they got a judge in Abuja. The judge, while I was on the plane, said that I had been removed, granted an order. We came back, fought the order, and he refused to lift the order. Went to the Court of Appeal. While we were waiting for Court of Appeal, I was arrested. While I was under detention, they went and had a kangaroo convention somewhere. And of course, INEC recognized them, because they never liked our philosophy and ideology. So when I came out of detention, I started fighting. We went to the Court of Appeal. When we got to the Court of Appeal, COVID came for 2 years. We couldn't hear the case until a judgment was delivered on June the 2nd, which essentially said whatever they did in that party was illegal, including telling the judge in that judgment that he was wrong to have intervened in the matter. But it was all Wike's handiwork. And of course, when it comes to Sowore, if there's anybody that can bring the APC and PDP together in a united hatred for somebody, it's me. So the government, of course, the APC side, joined hands with these guys to make sure that we don't get the party back until the Court of Appeal ruled in our favor. So that's how it happened. I just wanted to make it easy to understand for people.
And I think at this point, I'll give the phone lines because we're yet to talk about some of the key issues. Yes, the campaigns haven't started, but we're free to talk about the issues that will form the next election, talking about the talking points. If you're listening, you can be a part of it. 0909-217-2973, 0909-217-2973. That's on WhatsApp alone. I don't do phone lines. And of course, if you're listening from outside Nigeria, Don't forget the telephone area code +234-909-217-2973. And that's one I'm getting faster is coming from Andy in Benin. And well, he used to be a follower of Sowore, but now uh, I know send the guy again. He's compromised, in my opinion.
Yeah, people say all kinds of things. This is right.
Because
how am I
because
compromised?
because if you have someone or people who have been there for you, and the thing
The
starts,
question you should ask
it's good.
is
It's good. So
if it is true that he's ever followed me. People say these things. I don't know if you get it a lot where people will say, "Oh, I used to be your very great follower. I no longer support you because you said something I don't like." And when you check on their profile, they never supported you. It's like very cheap blackmail. To say I'm the only candidate who ran in 2019 who stood back and fought. Since 2019, I have not. I can practically say that since 20, the election ended, I haven't been back home. Today is my son's birthday. He turned 14 behind my back. I haven't seen him for 3 years. How did I compromise? I was sent to detention. They look for everything to show that they claim that I collected money to destabilize the country.
I won't let you gloss over that.
Yeah.
Because there are parents who don't do birthdays. I'm happy on birthdays. So let's talk about.
Yeah.
We're not talking about him. I want his name, and we'll say happy birthday to him.
Yes, he'll be happy. He just called me while I was here. His name is Komi Sowore. And that's how I call him. I call him by his full name, Komi Sowore. So happy birthday to you, Papa. So he's been there growing up without his father. They looked at all my accounts. They were shocked that I don't have houses anywhere in Nigeria. A judge was upset in court when she put a 100 million naira bail condition on me, and we went and asked for a variation. They say, "You mean this mighty Sowore doesn't have 100 million naira cash?" He thought I was Dasuke because Dasuke deposited 100 million without blinking an eye, but yet they didn't even release him. It turns out that the poor Sowore was one who got Dasuke released because I was released on the same day. Dasuke was released on the same day I was released. So sometimes, and I say this all the time, the reason Nigerians are disappointed with poor people or people who don't compromise is that they can't think of many people left who would have your kind of leverage or my kind of leverage who is not using it. Because if they had 1% of my influence, they will monetize it quickly. They will be rich. If I do any, there are people I say with due respect who, after I started Sahara Reporters, were just reprinting Sahara Reporter stories and became billionaires in the blogging world. That's true. You and media too. Yeah. So I could have done one story in which I could have become a billionaire if I'm compromised. But to some of them, the moment you don't support their candidates, you are compromised. People who are supporting Tinubu say
these are unfounded. Now you're talking about. Now you just mentioned a candidate of the APC.
Yeah.
Now, first, let's talk about the issues before we start talking about those you're running against.
Yeah.
The issues are enormous. So, what would be the top three that you would want Nigerians to start focusing on?
I think there's top three in different categories.
Okay.
I would say in terms of changing lifestyles, top three will be security. It will be energy and education. All right, because if you don't make those investments in those areas, your economy will not rise. You can't have an economic development in Nigeria. You can't industrialize if your energy sector is not functioning. Let nobody deceive you. Your currency is never going to be strong if you're not producing. If you don't have electricity, you can't produce. There's no nation in the world that had an industrial revolution without electricity. None. When it was necessary, they built nuclear reactors, just to make sure that that constant supply of energy is there. The last time there was world peace, a nuclear bomb had to be dropped. That's some massive energy right there. I'm not saying I support it. I'm just telling you the gravity of it. But, on the intrinsic part of nationhood, I would target the Nigerian constitution. That constitution had to go. So so that we can build a constitution that we made ourselves. Right now, the Nigerian constitution is what is remaking us. We don't even understand it because we didn't make it. That's why we're different from South Africa. You were talking about EFF earlier. If the EFF guys come to Nigeria under Buhari, they will run them out of town. But things that they can do, Malema can go to the parliament and insult the president of his country on a regular basis, always in front of Zuma, calling him names, poking. Can you do that to Buhari here? There's a guy who said something on Twitter about Sulaiman Aledeh. He's been in detention now on trial for over 3 years. A pharmacist, just because he had a Twitter banter. Somebody said, if you have money, what would you do? He said,
yeah. I'm happy you bring in this because looking at South Africa, because I cover the continent,
yeah.
And that was why I was excited when you spoke about ANC. I had to bring the municipal elections and the EFF, and you spot on what we'll see, especially in Parliament, and even the last time that he had the State of Union address talking about President Ramaphosa, Malema joined via Zoom.
Yeah.
So at what point? Because people have been talking and say, how is it that the Nigerian Parliament is still not as robust as South Africa? Because if we go to the UK, it's like overstretching it.
Yeah.
South Africa decided its democracy, in quote, yesterday.
Yes, because there is nobody here who wants a democratic space to function. Something as simple as voting machines that you can use your cell phone to, they refuse. So even parliamentarians, National Assembly members in Nigeria who are voting, you don't know where they are voting because there's no electronic collation of their voting.
Sorry, I don't mean to butt in here, but you don't think it's because maybe we have uneducated representatives, people that have been elected are people who do not understand the nuances.
Absolutely.
Of democracy.
Absolutely. The people, it's exactly what we're talking about, Gani. The people that took over our democratic, space in 1999 were the people who fought against democracy. Some of those guys who became governors, who became House of Rep members, senators, they were with Abacha, asking Abacha to continue in 1996, 97, and 98, up until the man died. So even Obasanjo that became president, Obasanjo was against the return of Abiola. He said it, I think in Zimbabwe or Zambia, that Abiola was not the Messiah Nigeria needed. He wanted to become the head of the interim government that he eventually gave to Shonekon. So, but these are the people that became presidents, vice president. Atiku was Abiola's opponent in 1992 when I was University of Lagos Student Union president here. After Abiola election was annulled, he ran away. But he became vice president. SDP NRC. He ran away. And they were the ones who then inherited, the democracy that all of us fought for. And the Ghanifa emirs of this world were just being insulted on a daily basis for standing up for what is right. So you can't get it right when you have the wrong people, uneducated people who have no ideology, people who are bankrupt, both morally and in terms of value systems. People that I call, people that run what I call moronocracy.
And a lot of people thought it was going to change. I'll go back to 2019. You spoke about many Nigerians were excited. They saw younger Nigerians. There was Fela Durotoye, there was Omoyele Sowore. We had a plethora of young people, and we thought, aha, we don't come home. But after the election, almost everyone, went in, and they're coming out again. People are saying that young people or people of our age group don't have the same power politically. How true is that?
It's not that they don't have the same power politically. You see, young people don't become versed in political activism or activities overnight. When they were destroying student union movements in Nigeria, they knew that the country will be bereft of great leaders in the future. The Malemas you are talking about, they started as little kids in the ANC. They started as ANC throwing stones against the police before they became big kahunas in the political system. If they had allowed student union governments in our time to flourish, we would have had student union leaders now become senators. We'll have a robust Senate because you cannot be a student union leader without a student parliament in our time. There's no faculty officer, even if you're in science, that doesn't argue with the guys in philosophy in the students' parliament. But they ruined all of that because they were preparing Nigeria for this kind of future that is devoid of original content in terms of leadership. And then they turned the Senate to the retirement home of former governors. And the National Assembly, I mean, the House of Representatives became the home of contractors. If you get there, they're all contractors. What they call oversight is pure extortion from MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies of government. And that is the reason why I was talking about the constitution. One of the things we should do in Nigeria is to reduce the number of, we don't need the bicameral legislative system. There is no reason we need a Senate when nobody goes there to do anything for Nigerian people. They just go there to get paid twice. You're a former governor, you're getting paid pension. You go to the Senate, you're getting paid again. That's just changing the Nigerian people. I prefer a unicameral legislative system. And then we can have regional assemblies if we want. This is up to the Nigerian people. That's why I think the Nigerian people ought to understand that restructuring is not just buzzwords to be repeated by politicians. It's something that ought to be codified into our system. But we must go and make that constitution the same way South Africans made their constitution at the end of apartheid. Because we are still experiencing our own apartheid now. And until it collapses completely and we remake our country, we are wasting our time. There is no way. You see, when people see us, sometimes they'll say to you, "Sure, why don't you go to the Senate?" You understand? It is part of how they've destroyed our self-esteem over the years. That you ask a guy who's visited every nation in the world, 30 of them, has a degree, a master's degree, who has created a business, who is 51 years old. You ask him to go to parliament where you send the worst old people in your country to be president of your country. And you're wondering why the country is not making progress. You understand?
Questions. I'm looking at questions and I'm
And you're
chuckling.
scared.
No, I'm not scared.
I'm just kidding.
And I'm chuckling. Guys, hold on. Sure, we'll answer these questions. I'm looking at the time. We still have at least 27 minutes to run on this. But quickly here, you spoke.
This is your ideological stand. What's going to be your stand on education, military rule? You are pretty much, contesting as the president of Nigeria because you are representing the aspirations of the youth. Today, NAS presidents are more interested in obtaining vanity plates for their vehicles, driving big cars. They want to fly, on their presidential jets. It looks like they are even more desperate to look like the enemies of students. And I was shocked, and I must say this, that NANS had an election for 2 weeks they were in Abuja. They did not talk about the ASO strike. None. I didn't hear one time. Not even a simple press conference to say, look, we're in Abuja organizing our elections, our schools are closed. Here is an ultimatum. If you don't reopen our schools, the new NANS will show you what we are made of. Nothing like that. That shows to you that the NANS we have now is a disconnect. I mean, it's completely disconnected from students and their aspirations and their issues. But I'm not a NANS president, but I know this is not the NANS that we used to know.
Well, let's quickly see if we can get some of the questions out of the way. And this other one, you didn't put a name, and usually I don't take questions, but I'll take this so that it doesn't look like I'll take everyone today. But you should try and put your name so that at least we can put a name to the questions. This one says, Sure, thank you for all you do for Motherland. We are with you all the way. What is your restructuring and constitutional change steps? How will you go about it?
Is to call for a sovereign national conference. Let people who all over the country to come together, represent in an assembly in which we debate these issues and discuss them honestly. And then whatever document is brought out of it, finalized, should go through a referendum. When America wanted to change the nation of America, and we should bring in our best brains. That doesn't mean that other sectors will not be represented, but let's have our best brains, both at home and in the diaspora, because diaspora has become a big, huge part of our nation. I mean, our country now. Like I keep saying, I hate to use the word nationhood for Nigeria because Nigeria never became a nation. It was set up as a business, uh, by the Brits, and then it became a country and never attained nationhood.
I'll still
And I
come
think a
back.
constitution I hate to take.
Sorry about it. I hope I have the chance to ask you to comment on brain drain, but
Yeah.
I need to give the time to our listeners. A lot of messages here, and I need to unpack as much as I can. This one here is from Bumi. Bumi is listening from Akoka in Lagos, and he says, "Hello, Shori. How realistic is it for you to win next year's presidential election?"
It's up to the Nigerian people. If you want me to win, I'll win. If you want to keep voting for the enemies of the people, so be it. But I just want to ensure one thing and one thing happens first, that our votes count. Because I participated in 2019 election, and I can tell you categorically, it was a selection. It wasn't an election. I was allocated a number of votes, and I rejected them outright.
And Kevalansky is listening from Delta State. He says, "Hello, Shawari. You said these politicians don't have ideology. Talking about ideology, what is your ideology? Do you sincerely think a country made of nations," he said he doesn't call it nation,
Yeah.
nations with different social philosophies can live together without having an agreement or accord? Do you think nationhood can stand on sentiments? This is a handful. I will take just one.
No, no, I just want to say that you can have a nation,
Yeah, go ahead.
but what anchors nations together are constitutions. People agree and they say this is the document that binds. Anytime we have disagreements, here is how to resolve it. That's what the constitution is about. But that constitution have to be made by all these nations within the country.
And this other one here from Stanley from Okota. Stanley Okota is saying that, well, what impact have you made among your people? That you're part of the people that brought this government. That he should go and contest in his local government area first. Stanley from Okota.
My local government.
No, well, he said you're part of those that brought in this government.
No, that's not true.
And this one here is from Oluwatosin. Um, why did Shori? Is it why did Shori collect? Well, I think I'm looking at the issues at stake, and
no, you can read it. What issues?
Well, he's saying, why did you collect a billion naira from APC to discredit Jonathan back then?
This is false. So you don't need to collect money to discredit Jonathan. Jonathan was discrediting himself. You don't need to be paid to do that. He was doing a fantastic job at it, but it's false.
And this listener is saying, I sincerely think you should have gone to the House to make a difference.
I think it's the other candidates that should go to the House because they are the ones who don't have the capacity to run the nation. Actually, would not accept, if I'm voting, I can't vote for any candidate that are parading themselves as major party candidates today to even run in the House. Yes.
And Archie,
because a lot of them cannot win in South Africa.
Archie is listening. Archie is saying that, Sulaiman, what Shore is saying is correct. The people that took democracy over in 1999 didn't work for democracy.
That's true.
When the foundation is faulty, what can the Russians do? Sad, very sad from Archie. Archie, thanks. And who's deleting the message? Someone has just deleted the message.
Maybe that people wanted to repeat a lie.
So I'm waiting. But anyway, we have KRS Anoze. This is, you say you're listening from Accra, Ghana. Thank you, but this is long. Let me see if I can paraphrase. Is it just now? Okay, good. He's asking, let me take the first paragraph because it's too long. Please ask Shore, is he a Nigerian or a CIA agent? Is he pro-Nigeria or anti-Nigeria? Is he being funded by international agencies?
No, I'm a Nigerian. I don't even know where the CIA headquarters. Probably if I was CIA agent, I won't tell you because they don't reveal their identity, but I'm not. I'm saying that on my own honor. And just so that you know, my only identity, my only citizenship is Nigeria. I lived in the US for 20 years, never applied for citizenship because I love being in Nigeria. And it's very hard. It's very hard to be a Nigerian because I get pulled over a lot, pulled aside a lot at airports around the world. I get humiliated for the passport. But that's part of the driving force for me. I said to myself, in my lifetime, I want to make this passport count for dignity.
Someone actually asked about that. That should
Yeah.
you win the election, that he believes that you will win the election. What would you do to change the Nigerian passport?
It doesn't have to change. We just have to change Nigerian nation so that the passport can be respected. That's what when the Queen died, I made a tweet, which was a little controversial for some people, that nobody should mourn the Queen. It's not our business to mourn the Queen. We should be thinking about how to dissolve the Commonwealth of Nations, which has 156 countries, to which, as a Nigerian, you can't travel without a passport. I mean, without a visa. What are we doing? We are the only common people in the Commonwealth. It's like an alumni of formerly colonized countries. So somehow you are still a subject of the Queen. Dissolve this Commonwealth. What does it do for us? If we are not dissolving it and we're going to be part of it, let every nation in the Commonwealth be visa free to Nigerians. Let it be visa so that you can go to the Commonwealth and it's common.
Yeah, so that should be one of the big.
Yes, these are foreign policies and things that you push. But for you to get there and to be solidly on top, you have to fix your country. The economy has to be good. Your people must have their dignity back. They must be doing well economically, so that they can go anywhere they want without having to be humiliated. The humiliation for Nigerians is just too much, even in places where we don't deserve it. Yes, I went to South Africa one time in 2018. I was running, and I said to them, when I become president, you will know who the big brother is. They shut down the show. They never invited me to SABC, where I was supposed to have an hour interview, because they said this guy is making Nigeria look superior. But that's the truth. We fought against apartheid, brought South African activists to come and study in Nigeria. Mandela lived in Nigeria for a while, provided arms, money, and then a few years later, you have become our oppressors too. You're killing our people on the streets of South Africa.
And that's what respectfully Malema is fighting
against. Yes, and that's what I like about him. Like speaking to those things, even against what some South Africans expect. They don't like when he speaks for other Africans, the dignity of the black man. They don't like it. It's the same way we suffer here when we fight against the corrupt people. Our own people come after us. Shut up, they lie against you. They give you 1 billion. I mean, like somebody can just make up a story like that and you just walk away. But it is how they respond. That's how the oppressors respond. They respond even through the oppressed. Yes, because oppression is very powerful. When it happens, yes, when it happens for too long, it becomes internalized to the oppressed. That's what they call, the Stockholm syndrome. When you fall in love with your oppressor to the point that you are the first to defend him in front of resistance.
Sorry again, Muyiwa Kikume is listening and he says, we've heard opposition saying one of the presidential aspirants does not have any infrastructure or grassroots support for him to win a presidential election, and this is a former governor. What can we say about you? Do you have what it takes to win the forthcoming presidential election? That's from who you are.
The structures that they're talking about are the structures of the old political parties. They are what we call transactional structures. The real structure for winning election are the people. When the people wake up and they want to vote for a candidate, they will create the structures that will deliver the victory. This is what we've been saying since 2018. Some of the people who are saying this now used to mock us in 2018 when we said, we have structures. Our structures are all these young people, all the oppressed people in the country. They're in large numbers. We just need to speak to them, break through to them. And now they have agreed with us. They're also all using the word revolution, which used to be a taboo in 2019. So the real structure for delivering democracy, free and fair elections or egalitarianism is the people. The structures reside with the people. They are not party offices. They are not even rallies. Rallies are just ways of showing that you have presence. They are symbolisms of structures. But in our own case, the real structures you need are the people, not the structures that are created to foster oppression, corruption, and subjugation. Structures that forget you after the election day. Structures that give you 5,000 and don't remember you. They don't remember the education of your kids. They don't remember your roads. They don't remember that you need hospitals. They don't remember that you need to drink good water. They don't remember that you need a fresh lease of life or minimum wage that is a living wage. Those are not structures. And that's what we've been saying. So I'm glad that some of the people now who are now seeing beyond, what has been in existence and are talking about real structures that the people embrace. So we have been talking about this. And like I said, our own structures have been built not just in offices or parties, but they are built in the minds of the people.
Well, Olariwaju from Surulere is listening. He says, hello, Sowore. Your ideas and ideals are valid. What you're driving at is very noble. In view of our current reality, even the people aren't ready for a better nation. And that's because poverty has been weaponized by the ruling class. What's your plan towards achieving a paradigm shift when it comes to the people? I want to take about 4 or 5 so that we can just,
Yeah.
a lot of them, yeah. And one here says, if Sowore wins, how will he tackle the Yahoo Yahoo in government and the likes of Agbero worldwide? That is 2, and I hope we get that. And this other one here says that you played a prominent role in bringing Buhari's government to reality. How does it make you feel seeing what the government has become? Also, they eventually made you their enemy. I want you to apologize to Nigerians for being one of the architects that brought this maladministration we have today. And let me just take 2 more. Daily from Egbeda is listening. Good day, Sowore. I feel your pains for Nigeria and Nigerians. Unfortunately, Nigerians are not ready for freedom yet. We're still enjoying our oppression, chains, and slavery. We have eyes we don't want to see. We have ears we don't want to hear. We have brains but we don't want to think. We're not ready for good governance yet. And the last one, for this batch says, hello, Sulaiman. This isn't a question, but an advice. Sowore should kindly support a reputable candidate of which he knows and stop all these. I used to like him until 2014, 2015. This is from Ikenna.
I'll take the last one. Okay. I need friends that are not fair weather friends, because I haven't changed since I became a public figure, kind of when I was a student union leader in 1989. So if you like me for a season, you probably don't know me. And I hope we'll be back as friends when our eyes are clear from some of the confusion that might be in the horizon now. There was a question about, somebody should apologize to. It's usually they lie the package. Nigeria is the only country, perhaps maybe one of the countries, where people ask you to apologize to thieves. What I've ever done in my life is expose corruption, fight against oppression, fight for democracy. Never participated in any election until 2019. 2019 was the first time I voted.
Oh, really?
Yes, I registered to vote in 2018 and voted for myself in 20 because I was one of those young people who didn't believe in politics. Partisan politics. I saw politicians as evil people, not to be associated with. But after doing Sahara Reporters for a long time, penning about 5,000 articles, I discovered that media by itself cannot change a country if good people don't go into government. But I didn't want to join them. That's the reason why I went to a different path of creating my own party. But somehow, when you have been around for as long as I've been around, all kinds of things are bandied about you. It's just like somebody who just dropped a lie that I collected 1 billion naira from. It's something that is not true. By the time I was detained by the government, I had 2,000 naira left in my account. They claimed that I had $100 million I collected from Dubai. We found out I've never been to Dubai before. They dropped the charges quietly. They didn't even apologize. But here you are. You are not asking the people who took Boko Haram money and distributed it and used it for election to apologize. If people took away the money for your children's school fees or schools, your hospital, you're asking the guy who's been fighting them for his entire life, who has been jailed, who's had family members assassinated, who has been shot at. I have my nose bridge broken by a police officer 2 years ago. There's nothing they haven't done to me. You're asking me to apologize for doing what is right. To apologize to the people who has been changing you, who has criminalized your existence, and who has weaponized poverty, like that brother said. It's a shame. It's a shame. And I hope that our people will start having personal conscience too as we have these conversations, because otherwise the politicians are laughing at us. The politicians know who is real. They know I'm not in bed with them. They know I don't even have any. There are people who lie that they saw me, that I'm close to Tinubu. Whereas I've never been to, I don't know Tinubu's house, except if people point to me where his house. I don't have any relationship. I only saw him once in 1999. Never. But when the pro-democracy movement was in place, as student leaders, we were more popular and more powerful than they were. So if we go to meetings, they will sit at the back, they'll call us to the front because we are the ones moving the dial in those days. So, and we've said all these things, but even the politicians are happy when they say Sowore is working for them because it confers on them some kind of credibility.
And that's why,
but it's wrong to keep repeating the same lies,
Yeah, sure, that was why I was concerned asking about student unionism and NANS, because whether you like it or not, we all went through schools and we loved it, and it was a beacon of hope.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially during the military regimes, and it was also a place where people can, fertilize ideas.
Yes.
When people
spoke, it was leadership academy.
Honestly, when people spoke, because people were reading them.
Yeah.
When they spoke, you knew that look, this man has something.
You must read.
You must read.
You can't be a dullard in nowadays and be a student union leader. Let me tell you, at the University of Lagos, you cannot be student union president. You can't be part of the election if you are not. You do not have a 2-1. So I was doing 2-1 until I became student union president. And then several things happened. I still graduated with a second class lower. So you can't. It's part of the experience. It's part of that leadership growth. And you are sitting with very important personalities. So I have to go in front of the chancellor of the university every year. The vice chancellor and ourselves must meet several times to discuss school fees, student welfare. And our vice chancellor was one of the most brilliant, geographers at that time in the world, Nuruddin Alao. So he spoke Queen English, as they used to call it. So, and we had to come back and tell the students what we discussed and what needed to happen. And on top of that, it was our duty to deliver democracy to Nigeria. The same way the student leaders before us delivered independence.
Absolutely.
People still talk about Segun Okeowo till tomorrow. Your parents will tell you about the guy, Ali must go. These are epochal moments in the history of the country.
We need, when you mention 3 key things you would love to look at, and I say, well, these are genuine things that Nigerians should also look at: security, energy, education.
Yes.
We need to bring back the golden days. This one here from Yinka quickly here says, hello, Sulaiman and my brother Sowore. Should the PDP and APC get kicked out of power in 2023, especially at the center, can you possibly work with other government, in quote, say obedient, if you are invited and they also have similar idea with yours?
If PDP is kicked out, we expect that we'll be the ones forming the next government. If the obedience form the next government, we will be in opposition against their excesses, considering that they are the offspring of PDP anyways. Yes.